Bob, it is good to see you, man. How are you?
Great to see you too, Amos. I'm doing well, sir. How about you?
Can't complain. We are recording this in the middle of December, holiday season and whatnot.
Yes.
I've been doing some travel, as you know, and you and I have had plenty of chats from airports. You know this life really well. I went to, conferences, event. I do have one beef. I feel like I'm turning into a get off your lawn guy, but
Get off my porch.
I think I'm tired of going to conferences with the box lunches, Bob.
Box lunch has got you sad, huh?
The box lunches. I was at reInvent a couple of weeks ago. Streamforce. I'm not just picking on reInvent. But you go to these conferences, you pay $2,000 and or more, and you get there, and I'm expecting, food. The food comes in a box. There's a sad apple in there. There's cold cuts. I hate cold cuts. I've never had any cold cuts voluntarily in my life. It's because I have no other choice. Like, couldn't there be a taco truck? Those aren't that expensive. Someone's got to, whoever's listening to this, I'm sure you guys do a fantastic job. The conferences are fantastic. But we got to do something about the box lunches. I mean,
So what I love about that is that we did our first conference at ICMI this year. So you obviously are talking to people about something that they love to hear, which is that their food isn't good. So you're helping our marketing expert our marketing exploits by talking about something like that. So I appreciate that. By the way, I don't know this man, and I don't know why he would bring that up, but
well, listen. I do want to let everyone know we are available to do your show. We did ICMI.
we did do ICMI.
My comments about your food, notwithstanding, I will still be there, bells on. I'm just offering suggestion.
I understand.
This is about suggestion. But on a more serious note, Bob, I'd love your point of view on a topic I'm sure everyone who's listened to this is well aware of. A man who CEO of United Healthcare, not the United Health Group, was murdered tragically. And the man was a father, a husband, a family man, someone in the community. And, my condolences goes out to all of his loved ones. And it was very tragic. And all the people who are celebrating the loss of a man, I think that is reprehensible. That's it. I do feel like the fact that there was a significant amount of reasonable people, I might add, I'm not talking about the crazies, who are like, yeah, I understand how we got here. They're like, it's unfortunate that this man was murdered, but they're like, the experience, the overall experience with this industry and the customer experience and the service, on and on and on. They feel like it's been so screwed up that they get how we got here. And for, we do this little show, we talk about, the experience on every week. I would love to get your sort of thoughts on the matter. But for me, my biggest takeaway is the fact that so many people are like, yeah, I could see that coming.
Well, I definitely wouldn't compare this to whatever. I mean, there are folks who have lost their homes. There are folks that have lost their entire way of life by their medical bills, that have gone bankrupt and lost their homes and everything that they own through that. So my example is not in any way, shape, that kind, but I just had the example today. I left a doctor's office where where the doctor wrote a prescription and sent it to CVS for fill. When I get to CVS says the insurance company denied your request and says that they need a prior authorization from your doctor to get this prescription. Well, my doctor just emailed you that prescription. So what else do you want from the doctor other than they ordered it because I needed it? But that that kind of example is the minor example of what is often very abstract and large examples of people. And I think you're correct. I think that this backlash has been from everybody, from the trollers that just troll about everything. And I'm sure there's a lot of bots involved in all of that. But I think I've read some stories that are true stories, and some realistic stories of people that say they're not surprised that we've come to this. That's the part that sort of woke me up. I've worked in a lot of healthcare contact centers as a consultant over the past 20 years. And I believe that agent sitting in front of the client and sitting in front of the desktop wants to help the customer. I think that agent has the need and the want to succeed and make the customer happy. But I think we put so many constraints on that agent that there's no way to make them happy. And I haven't seen any evidence that this guy that committed the murder, United Healthcare came out and said we don't have any evidence of him ever being covered by me. But he evidently in his writing said he was going after the industry. So he
That's right.
was looking for somebody that represented the industry, which, wow, I hope nobody chooses me to represent the call center industry in the same way. I mean, it's crazy that it was as random as somebody representing the industry, so that it wasn't a self problem, it was an industry problem, and that this person evidently had been abused in some way or felt abused by the industry.
Yeah, I beautifully said. I would say to all of us to remember that the contact center, customer service, healthcare, whatever your industry is, doesn't live in a vacuum, lives in our society. And we as a society are angrier and angrier and angrier and divided and us against them in so much that if the country's temperature is really, 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 really hot, it makes sense that by the time I get to you in customer service or in a contact center, in a call center, I'm not condoning this, by the way. And Bob and I aren't. We're just explaining that it is no wonder that, post COVID, the number of customers who are assaulting service employees has gone to a high. There was one lighter one. Then let me give you a lighter story that occurred a few weeks ago. So a man in Utah buys a Subaru.
No, he's going. Keep
Yeah.
going.
So he buys a Subaru, and if you don't know anything about Subarus, whole people who buy Subarus are a cult. One of the speaking gigs I did years and years and years ago was to a group of people who drove thousands of miles to gather together because they all owned a Subaru, right? Yeah, it's like you guys are gathering together because of your ownership of this shitty little car. Anyway, I kid Subaru idea, given how the story ends. So the guy buys the car and he drives home and realizes it has mechanical problems. He comes back and says, "Hey, I got to return this. It's been this close." And they go, "Well, no, read your thing. There's a return policy." It's like, "I just bought the car." And he says, "If you guys don't take this back, I'm going to drive this car through your dealership." And they don't take him any seriously. And the man leaves, gets a Subaru and drives it through the damn dealership. Again, not condoning that. He's been arrested and what have you. But we have to understand.
By the way, the front of the Subaru wasn't hardly damaged. I saw the video. Shout out to the Subaru engineers for that one. But you're right. He said he was going to do it and he did it. And so what I take away from that also is the same thing that I think when you and I first started talking about this and having a show around it, is we need to make sure that we have policies and processes in place, probably processes rather than policies, of when an agent hears something that there's a threat, or there's something that the agent picks up on, that the agent reports that. And I've heard of doctors at offices, just sort of firing their clients, firing their patients because of threats made to the front office staff. So we may need to fire some customers in the same way.
Yeah, but even before it gets to violence, at the end of the day, in the same way as you just said, a lot of people's beef is they perceive insurance companies standing between me and my doctor. Well, guess what? Every time you call a contact center, there is management standing between the agent, right, and the representative. And where does that show up? The policy on this car. He just bought the car. Like, there was not an ejection vehicle of where the person could just go, a human could just say, "I know what the policy is. This is in the gray," right? Like, doesn't that happen time and time again where it's like the policy is so damn black and white that any two reasonable people will agree to bend it, but it can't happen because of the immovable object?
Well, I think sometimes we tell our agents we want them to wow the customer and to take care of the customer and to find ways to support the customer. We even call some of our agents advocates, customer advocates. But until we give them the permission to go outside of the policy in certain circumstances, then we haven't given them the ability to be who they need to be. I think about just a couple of weeks ago, I ordered a battery online for my away luggage. My battery went dead in it that sticks into the sort of an extra battery that you carry along, and it wouldn't recharge. And so I got online and ordered. And then after I ordered, I went upstairs and it had charged overnight. So I called them back and say, "Hey, can we cancel this?" I called them, "Can we cancel this?" And, well, it's been 35 minutes, or our policy is 30 minutes.
Wait, what?
So it had been 35 minutes since I had placed the order, and the policy said that you had to cancel the order within 30 minutes. And I said, "Well, I was on hold for a minute to 2 minutes. So I was really 33 minutes
Right.
late. So I was 3 minutes late, and you're going to tell me you're going to ship that part to me anyway, whether I want it or need it or not." And so they then sent me a survey, and on the survey, I trashed them the situation. I got a phone call from somebody in the survey who proceeded to tell me the same thing, which was the policy is 30 minutes and you were outside our policy.
So
So
you drove your car through their
so I
office.
so I drove my car through there. No, I didn't do that. But I am on one of the most popular podcasts in America around contact center talking about away luggage, who I was a huge advocate of before. Man, it's the best piece of luggage I've ever had. I was a huge advocate, and yet they're a company that's so laden, so beholding to policies that they don't allow their agents to make decisions. And so it seems to me that the question I would have would did whoever he talked to when he had a problem, did they show him empathy? And empathy comes with permission to
Correct.
make changes to policies. It's not just "I'm sorry this happened to you" or "I understand that you're upset." It's "let me make this right if I possibly can." I don't know that that would have changed who this guy was or changed the situation. And in reality, I've actually heard that the CEO was a staunch advocate for changes in the way healthcare is. The CEO of United Healthcare Group, which owns all of the United Healthcare organizations, came out in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, I can't remember which one, with a whole essay around the changes that needed to be made. And by the way, I read it. There's some really good changes in there. The healthcare industry is broken, but it's not going to change. It feels a little bit like gun control in that it's not going to change and just by this incident. This incident is not going to make it change because we had another school shooting yesterday, and you know there's nobody talking about gun control on normal channels today.
No, and to that point, I think the place I want to leave it with folks is understand that our country is on edge. The world is on edge. And behave accordingly. So understand that when this person calls you or emails you and is screaming or what have you, and you're like, "Why are you screaming over this then? Bob, why are you getting so excited about this bag?" You have no idea the context. That's one. Number two, before it gets to the place where someone's writing manifestos or wanting to drive their car through a building, there was a point where there was a policy or process that they felt was unjust. And they're unreasonable ones. I'm talking about reasonable ones. And by the way, while this guy, I'm not going to defend the actions of driving, but that's criminal
No,
behavior.
no.
But I understand it. I just bought the car. The engine is still warm. And like I understand why at least you should build a contact center, a service environment where someone can go, "Hey, I've got Mr. Furnace on the phone. He bought this thing and it's 35 minutes. It's 5 minutes. He's had our bag for this long that, like, hey guys, I know what the policy says, but I think we need to do X or Y." And that representative didn't even feel the ability to be able to do that. And by the way, they were correct because you got somebody above that person. You have built a process that has ignored humanity, that has said under any circumstance, this will happen. We even have extenuating circumstances in our judicial systems for crime. And yet, for a bag, a suitcase company, you are like, this policy was written by God Himself, handed to the CEO of whatever this company's name is, and it will never change.
So let me clear something up here. So you're saying that there's times that we should step outside the policy
Yes,
and just fix the problem.
I am a radical.
So willy nilly, we're just going to let agents make decisions. So where's the AHT guy that I used to know
Oh,
that said that there was only the policy, there was only the AHT, and that you should let them know. I'm confused. I'm confused. So you've come over to the good side, to the customer experience side versus the company side. Is that right? Am I right here?
there's a lot of twisting of my words and my quotes here.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of twisting of my deal. But in this instance, handle
I
time still
agree, sir.
matters.
I
Handle
agree.
time still matters.
Not Yeah, and not to make light of what the situation was by that comment. It is a problem that every company should be struggling with,
Yes.
of how do we become more human? How do we become, as we send our customers to non-human answers through knowledge bases and through chatbots and through other AI assisted scenarios, how do we become more human
Amen.
when the person is on the phone with us? How do we make that a human experience instead of a policy experience?
Love it. That's a great place to leave it. Thank you all again for listening. I want to acknowledge, I don't know who you are, but we've gotten dozens of 5-star reviews lately. Thank you for continuing to listening to our show. And best way to support us is share it, leave us a review so that other people can find our show.
And if you've got questions or you've got subjects you want us to cover, please, send me something on LinkedIn, send Amos something on LinkedIn. We're there to listen and to do shows that affect you.
Awesome. Bob, good seeing you, man. Talk soon.
Good to see you too. To subscribe and listen to full episodes of the Contact Center Show, go to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.